Hi, everybody. This is Dick Riseling for WJFF Connections. Tonight's conversation is about the Solarize Sullivan program. I am certain many of you have seen the lawn signs and received emails about the purposes and benefits of Solarize Sullivan. Perhaps you have attended a Solarize Sullivan event and have a question to clear up or a comment you would like to make. Our guests here in the studio in Jeffersonville tonight are Sybil Sanchez. She's manager for the Solarize Sullivan program, and Larry Reeger, professor of several sustainability courses at SUNY Sullivan. He's energy manager there and director of sustainability. Congratulations, Larry.
Thank you, Dick.
In the next hour, we are going to go through all of the matters of a Solarize Sullivan event, except the presentation of the solar electric installers. We will, however, provide the basic information of those presentations, and we will end tonight's conversation, and perhaps we will interrupt it throughout the conversation by reminding you of the remaining dates and the locations where you can meet with the installers and with Sybil Sanchez and the rest of the staff at Solarize Sullivan. Now, from the frequent articles about solar electric power in our local newspapers to the visual experience of an increasing number of solar arrays as you drive about, it is clear that solar electric power is finally at the center of renewable energy strategies in our area. There are many solar programs. And of course, that's wonderful news because it gives us a chance to limit the fossil fuel pollution that ruins our health and the ecosystems that support all forms of life. Solar electric power is affordable, it's safe, it's clean, and it's providing a growing number of good-paying jobs. There are programs for every income level. There are programs that make it possible for every type of building and individual, renter or owner of housing, small or large commercial, municipal or not-for-profit business, to harness and enjoy the many benefits of solar electric power. Each solar program offers some very different attributes and benefits, but all of them can be made to work together. We start our conversation with Sybil Sanchez and Larry Reeger with all the details about the Sullivan Solarize program and its particular attributes and benefits right after this short music break. If you'd like to join our on-air discussion, please call 845-482-4141. Hi, everybody. This is Dick Riseling once again for WJFF Connections. If you've just joined us, we have Sybil Sanchez here in the studio in Jeffersonville with us tonight. We also have Larry Reeger here from SUNY Sullivan. We're going to be talking about a particular solar electric program called Solarize Sullivan. Nice to hear those two words joined. And it's very, very nice. It feels great to have these two people here in the studio with us. So, Sybil, why don't you start by introducing yourself to us, and then Larry, you do the same, and then we're going to talk about the wonderful benefits and all the new attributes that allow people to get on board of solar electricity when there have been more barriers in the past, and now they're falling away.
Thank you so much, Dick. Thanks for having Larry and I here to talk about Solarize Sullivan. It's a pleasure to be here, and indeed, it's a really exciting time for our county. I'm a full-time resident here for 4 years, for the past 4 years, forgive me, and I've been running this campaign for the whole summer. I come to it with a community activism and development background and a background in environmental advocacy as well. So for me, this is a matter, both a very practical matter, very ethical matter, and very important matter for Sullivan County, and the response to it so far has been really amazing, including your inviting us on tonight to the show. And I just want to say at the top of our show that if anybody hasn't heard of us yet or just wants to see what it's about and you're by your computer, just go to solarizesullivan.org and you'll see more as we're talking.
Thanks, Sybil. My name is Larry Reeger. I've been teaching at SUNY Sullivan for about 5 years. And as Dick introduced me, I'm the Interim Director of Sustainability, which means I get to do a lot of great things on campus, grow food, and just be aware of our energy usage. As a professor, as an associate professor, I get to teach about green building and renewable energy on campus every day. Today, we're just talking about solar energy today. I'm introducing the students to solar site assessments and, just understanding what solar energy is and how it can benefit homeowners and residents and even small businesses. Some of the work that I'm most proud of doing is I was able to be part of the Solar Instructor Training Network, and that was funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, the Sunshot Initiative. And so I had mentors that really, opened my eyes on how to really properly teach solar energy to our students, and I'm bringing that to the Solarize campaign, which is just been great that I could do that. And I also just want to do a little quick shout out to our friends in Honesdale at the SEEDS, the Sustainable Energy Education and Development Support Group. There's a bunch of us that are just doing nonprofit work around, embracing more renewable energy. And so WJFF has a station there in Honesdale also. And so we're all just really working together for the common good. And as Dick said, trying to move away from extractive fossil fuels and embrace renewable energy.
Okay, everybody knows the solar electricity. There is solar thermal, but we're not going to be talking about that tonight. We're talking about solar electricity only. But it's popping here in Sullivan County, and it wasn't possible a couple of years ago. There were just all kinds of barriers, and there were of many, many kinds. All of them are kind of fallen. So why don't we step in here with whoever of you wants to begin to talk about why solar today? I mean, what's the difference? I mean, we used to say it was the most impossible. It was just absolutely too expensive. That was the monitor all the time. It was completely dismissive, and it just took all the oxygen out of the air. Well, the room is just full of oxygen. Everyone's levitating now about it. Who wants to take that one on?
I'll take that one, Dick. Excuse me. The Solar Energy Industry Association puts out statistics for all the different states in the United States. And so I just did a quick little search today and came up with the United States installed solar PV system prices in the United States have dropped 12% from last year, and they've dropped 66% from 2010. And so just recently, I was spending a weekend with some friends, and one of my fellow friends, was talking about having a solar site. They had a quote from a PV system on their home that was 10 years old, and I said, you can't go by those numbers anymore. That was 10 years ago. And so we've seen a drop of 66% in the past 6 years and just 12% in the last year. And so that's one reason economics have now become viable to actually install PV modules on your roof. And you can see a return on your investment here in New York. New York's a fabulous state for embracing renewable energy with Nyserda. And so we actually... the New York State ranks 7th in the country for installed solar capacity. And we have 386 megawatts of residential installed solar. And so this Solarize Sullivan campaign just really is focusing on those residential installations. And we already have 386 megawatts. That's a lot of power coming from the sun.
Just on homes. That is really, really, really special. So the word is, this is something we can do.
Yeah.
Everybody can do this. So let's go to Sybil Sanchez. Okay, how do we do it, Sybil? Get it started.
Great.
Get it started.
I'm sitting on the edge of my chair here because just building on what Larry said, our program is really designed to make this the easiest, most accessible, most affordable program around, and it's a great time to go solar in Sullivan County. Why? Because there are a couple of different tax incentives that exist now that are the best they're going to be at both the state and the federal level. The incentives are structured to get more people to go solar. As more people go solar, the incentives actually decrease. The discounts on your tax credits decrease. But so right now is the best time it's going to be in terms of government-sponsored tax credits because it's only going to go down. And the cost of solar panels are lower than they've ever been, which is basis of what Larry was just explaining. And on top of that, we selected installers, and we could talk about our selection process because I think we're really proud of it. We selected two installation companies for their competitive pricing and their transparent process. And to be part of our community-driven nonprofit campaign, these two installation companies who came to us with already very good, very competitive prices had to commit to providing a significant discount to the participants in our campaign. So if you enroll through our campaign, which you can only do through our enrollment form, which is on solarizesullivan.org, or you can get by going to one of our upcoming community workshops. Our next one, by the way, is with Larry at SUNY Sullivan on Wednesday, this Wednesday, at 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. We'll talk about it more. But, you have to fill out that form with us to get this discount. The discount is really significant. It's over 10% discounted from these very competitive prices, which are the lowest they've ever been. And our installers are trained in handling all of the paperwork with you, talking through all of the incentives with you, making sure that you have access to all of the different incentives that are out there, discounts that are out there, because there are at least 3 that we can talk about, which are important to know about, and these installers will walk you through them. Can I go ahead and tell you what those incentives are?
I think we should.
Okay, great. So on the federal tax level, let me get my chart out in front of me so I give you good stats. On the federal tax level, you can get up to a 30% tax credit. Now, it's important you understand that this depends on your tax appetite. In other words, it depends how much you make, what kind of credit you might get. But you might be eligible for up to a 30% tax credit. Along with walking through this with your installer, we really encourage you to talk to an accountant so you understand how these tax breaks work and really know what you're eligible for. So while I say this is the best time for tax credits, you still have to look at your personal situation to know what tax credits apply to you. And these tax credits can apply for a multi-year process based on what your income is and how it's going to work for you. So on the federal level, you could get up to 30% tax credit. On the New York State level, you can get up to a 25% tax credit, up to $5,000 if it's your primary home. And then on top of that, there's a third incentive called the Nyserda Grant. The NYSERDA is the New York State Energy and Resource Development Agency, and that is 40 cents on the watt that you are eligible to get, which would be a straight discount off the price of your bill. In other words, on top of the solarized discount that you're going to get and the competitive pricing that you're going to get, you'll have a 40 cent reduction per watt on your bill through the NYSERDA grant. So all of these incentives, and the Nyserda Grant in particular, require an application process and paperwork. Your installer will know how to walk you through that paperwork. That's why these installers, in part, are selected by our very thorough and committed steering committee of community members, activists, and knowledgeable people like Larry here, who's talking us through some of this.
They, in fact, do most of the paperwork, right?
Yeah, your installer will do all the paperwork, and the truth is, you're gonna, as an educator of solar energy, I always recommend getting more than one estimate for your location. I always recommend that you completely understand what it is that you're about to purchase. You understand if there's a return on investment, and right now in the state of New York, your return on investment is less than 10 years on most properties, which is phenomenal. And so it's going to lower your cost of electric for years to come, 20, 25 years, maybe even 30 years down the road. You're just lowering your electric cost. If today you're paying 15 cents per kilowatt hour, you can just start, and you can do the math before you even sign up or put any money on the line. You'll know how much you're going to be saving and pretty much how quickly you can pay this stuff back.
If, by the way, you find yourself earning less than 80% of the county's median income, if you're in the lower income category and you still want to pursue solar and you know that it's going to help you economically, there's a program called Affordable Solar NYSERDA, which provides additional benefits. You might qualify for some free or discounted home energy improvements along with the solar process. So that's called Affordable Solar NYSERDA, and that's something also to look into.
Let's take a look also at the one of the attributes of your program, we're talking about ownership. And there's also lease and PPAs. We can leave PPAs aside for the moment, but there's a lot of lease agreements out there. Let's talk about the special benefits. They're in the same wonderful area of people's economics. Finally, we reap the benefits. Let's talk about the factor savings for ownership vis-a-vis lease.
Yes. So
This is a great program.
yeah, whenever you buy a system outright, you're going to have to come up with the money up front. You're going to either have to have it in your savings. You're going to have to take a loan on that system. And compared to leasing your roof to a solar installer, which is what many New Yorkers are doing, because there's no money out of pocket. However, to get your most savings out of this new system, it will be to buy it outright if you can. And again, talking with your accountant, as Sybil said, is very sound advice. Understanding if you're going to be paying on an interest rate or if you're just going to be paying it, with cash. The benefits are truly there, and you will know when you go to solarizesullivan.org and click the tab Go Solar. When you click the tab Go Solar, you'll be immediately within 1 or 2 days connected to 1 or 2 of the installers that are part of the program, and those installers will then do will come to your site approximately, they'll come to your site in the very near future and look at your home, your residence, your small business, and determine how much solar energy is available, and then actually do the calculations for you so that you can truly understand what the payback will be. If you have a tree or another building that's very close to your solar array and you're losing 10 or 20% of your available sunlight, you want to know that before you sign on the dotted line. You want to know that it might take a little bit longer to get your return on your investment. Not every site is different, and so it's really important that you understand exactly. It's very important that you have that solar site assessment done, which these companies are doing, and they can tell you exactly how much electric you're going to produce very accurately too.
Okay, one of the things that I'm hearing as we listen to some of the details here of the program, and we're going to drill down and get some more granular details here as well, is that there's sort of a new consciousness going on here in the background, in the context for this. The state is now coming up with mature programs that really work. They have social service, they have social justice, they have distributive energy, they have many things that they have not been in our nomenclature. And we should get used to them, and we should have 10 times more of them and programs to back them up. But these are programs that are authentically in line and comply and deliver the benefits along that side. And this is a new time. There's a revolution. There's a world trying to be born here. And you're talking about 2 people here who are principals in Sullivan County who are trying to make it so compelling to you that you will see the accessibility there, the equal opportunity there for everybody. It's there. Come aboard to one of these meetings. So, Larry, why don't you, I guess on Wednesday, you're going to be hosting people over there at SUNY Sullivan, one of the gems in our county. And you heard about all the authorities and responsibilities this relatively young man has. Tell us what's going to happen. How are you going to treat people? What's going to happen there? Can I bring my kids? I mean, I don't have any. I have grandkids.
Bring your grandkids.
Yeah, my baby's 52.
Yeah. So we at SUNY Sullivan, with the support of the Sustainability Committee and many faculty and staff and students on campus, we've been inviting the community to our campus for years now. We've had every 5th grader from Monticello come to our campus and learn about solar energy and wind energy. I spoke with the Girl Scouts over the summer. We invite people to campus to learn about renewable energy, and so that's what we're going to do this coming Wednesday. And it's just really great that we can do it around and support Solarize Sullivan. This has been up and coming for more than a year and a half that I attended a meeting, and it's time. We're doing it. And so this Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I've actually added something to our workshop that not all the other Solarize campaigns can do. We have been running some field trips that people can go and see some solar energy installations, but at SUNY Sullivan, you get to come. You get to see a small 3 kilowatt system. Your children can touch the PV array and lay on it and feel it and touch it and learn what an inverter is. My students and I will be just walking with you and taking questions as we walk. You can learn about a small wind turbine and just understand the difference between a small wind turbine and a small 2.5 kilowatt wind turbine, or the 3 kilowatt turbine. And something that SUNY Sullivan has been doing, and it may not be completely conscious, but I am very proud, and I drive to SUNY Sullivan from pretty far away. I used to work at a wind farm, Waymart Wind Farm, as a wind turbine technician. And why do I come to that campus? Like, we are embracing solar energy. The sun affects, the currents and the wind energy around the world. The sun affects making electric. The sun can heat the earth. And at SUNY Sullivan, we have a geothermal system that heats and cools the entire college, mostly the entire college, using geothermal energy from the ground and making, the heating and cooling system through heat pump technology. And so while we're walking along campus, I then can direct us in our tour at 5 o'clock at SUNY Sullivan. We'll go down to what's called the Sullivan Solar Garden, which is a utility scale solar farm of 7,056 PV modules. You'll stand in front. I'll take a picture of you. Yeah, I'll add you to my Green Building Facebook page, and you'll be one of the famous ones, with just learning about what that means, the pros and the cons, and we can just have a nice discussion about that. So if you just show up at SUNY Sullivan at 5 o'clock, you get to go for the tour with my students and I. If there's light rain or sunshine, we'll be going on the tour. Another really interesting thing that's happening at SUNY Sullivan is that's not typical of the other workshops is we have a kiosk that's tracking the solar energy coming from the solar farm. You can actually walk in and touch the kiosk, and you can ask questions. And again, my green building students that are up and coming green energy, that they're part of the green energy workforce, they're going to be able to answer these questions. You get to touch and learn a little bit about solar energy. You're going to get to learn a little bit about how your system's wired on your home. And then you can just see what our system's actually doing. It's just pretty interactive. Again, K through 12 students come up, touch the screen, change the screen, learn about what's going on. But at 6 o'clock, that's where the meat of the workshop happens. And so Sybil and I get to talk about that tonight. But that's when faculty and staff and my fellow students are coming to that event, the workshop on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, to really learn about the system. And I'm sure we should just probably get there pretty soon on what they can expect. So at 6 o'clock, if you go to the H building, it's in the Student Union. It's the upper H building. It's on a second floor and a top floor in the Student Union. We're going to have lots of signs all over campus directing you. We're going to have students available directing you to the H building. And so, you're going to check out the kiosk. You can go for a tour. But if you don't have time to make it, come at 6 o'clock. And you then will get to listen to Sybil or I speaking a little bit about Solarize Sullivan. And then you can also get to listen to the installers, the companies that are actually doing the work, and you can ask them questions one-on-one after the overview presentation. But I'll let Sybil tell you more about that. And I think now might be a really good time for Sybil just to discuss, if it's okay, Dick,
Sure.
How easy is it to go solar and what to expect?
Sure. Well, going solar with Solarize Sullivan starts in a couple of ways. Firstly, come to our workshop or go online and fill out the form at solarizesullivan.org, the Go Solar button, Go Solar for Less button on the homepage. And then after you fill out that form, whether it's in person at the workshop or at solarizesullivan.org, we will get your information on our back end. We will see it. We will put it in a spreadsheet, whoever you've selected of our 2 installers, or you can select both. The 2 installation companies, by the way, are Solar Liberty and Apex. You can have each of them give you a site assessment and a proposal. You could have just one of them do it. In any event, whatever you select, we will pass on to our installers. We can choose for you if you're just not sure and you want us to make a choice. We can do that too. But we pass it on to our installers within a day or two, within a work day or two, I should say, of receiving your form. They will be in touch with you by phone. They will ask you some questions over the phone. They'll look at your address on Google Earth. They'll give you a preliminary assessment based on that. But then they'll actually send someone out to your home to prepare a plan and a proposal. And at that point, they'll also work on pricing with you. After that point, then they'll prepare a contract. And at that point, if you want to continue with them, you will need to make a commitment. So up until that point, after they visited your home, the whole process is free, non-committal. The only thing you're committing to when you sign up on our website is to having a solar installation company contact you. Now, you should know that they're going to ask you for your electricity bill. On our website, we ask for your monthly cost. We ask how many meters you have, whether you own or rent, because this is really focused on owning. We ask what electric company you use right now. And so you need to know that to fill out the form. But then when the installer calls you, they will be asking for more detailed questions, and it would be very helpful if you had a copy of your electricity bill handy. And if you don't, they're going to ask you probably to go dig one up. So just be ready for that. And that's pretty much what the process is. We're here on the side to help you if something happens, you don't hear from an installation company, or you have a question that's not being answered, a concern that's not being met. You contact us and you don't hear from us. It's happened once or twice. Sometimes things get lost in cyberspace, but we're here. We're on Facebook at Solarize Sullivan. We're online at solarizesullivan.org, where you can reach us through Catskill Mountain Keeper's office in Livingston Manor. Along with this Wednesday's event at SUNY Sullivan, we have 3 more events coming up through the end of October. October 31st is when this campaign ends. So if you're interested in doing this to get a free site assessment, have a free conversation with a solar installation company, you need to sign up before October 31st. So we have about 6-7 more weeks left in this campaign. The additional events coming up are Saturday, September 24th in Eldred with the Town of Highlands Energy Committee. That's at 1 p.m. On Thursday, October 6th at 4:30 p.m. in Monticello at the Ted Strobel Center. And then Saturday, October 15th at Cornell Cooperative Extension at 11 a.m. So we've really tried to choose times that are working people friendly to some extent. I know people work different hours, but generally toward the end of a work day or on a weekend day. And we may have more events popping up yet. We still don't know. But this is, we're here. We're here to talk to you. Call in now. Call us later. Email me at solarizesullivan@gmail.com. You could find us pretty easily at this point. We're trying to make the follow-up and process for this as easy and as accessible as possible.
Let's also give the phone number if we can.
Yes. We can in a minute.
So the best way to really contact us is at solarizesullivan.org. In today's world, we're just checking emails. We're checking the things flowing in. So that, at the community college, that's how I deal with my students. I see them in class, and I'm like, if you need me, don't call me. Email me.
It's so true. The Catskill Mountain Keeper's office number is 845-439-1230.
The reason I still do the phone number is that there are a shocking number of people who still do not use email in our county. And many of those are people that have been underserved in many ways, and that's why they don't use.
Understood.
And we really need to have that outreach. And I had the same thing. It's always best to do the emails, but many people, perhaps the majority, cannot. That's been our experience with some of the other groups that we have. This is a good time to take a station break, folks, so sit back and relax a little bit, and I'll talk to everybody out there just about what's happening here tonight. This is Dick Riseling for WJFF Connections, and tonight we're talking about a program called Solarize Sullivan. It's a program that is very, very well organized and sits within a very, very mature and very efficient, very effective public program to make it easy, make it accessible, make it affordable, make it non-confusing. Lots of help involved in getting clear and trustworthy information about solar electric power, how to get a free site assessment from pre-qualified installers selected through a competitive vetting process, and also a Solarize discount for those who sign up with this campaign. And that discount is up to 10%, I think, isn't it?
Over 10%.
Over 10%. And on top of that, there's also a Nyserda Grant and tax incentives for people, but that part has to be looked at kind of carefully. So a wonderful program very well, very smartly designed at the state level, now coming right down into Sullivan County where their eye is on you. You're in the spotlight, and this is your chance to really, really get a wonderful deal and just a wonderful new set of feelings about what you're doing. Well, by doing well for yourself, you're doing well for absolutely everybody else. We don't always get a chance to do that in the market economy that we have today as well. So what a wonderful kind of program that we have here tonight. And now let's go back to Sybil Sanchez, who's the manager of the Solarize Sullivan campaign, and Larry Reeger, who is energy manager, interim director of sustainability, and professor of several of the courses on sustainability at SUNY Sullivan over there in Lac Sheldrake. So we've been through a good bit of the information that we want to tell people, and I think we've left people with the impression that this is very user-friendly. They're very nice people here doing this kind of work, and nice has an authentic ring all of a sudden. This is also a serious business, folks. This is the way the future will be brightened for us and made lightened for us and more affordable for us. So let's go back to our two wonderful guests tonight and see where they want to take us from now on.
Thanks, Dick. I just want to highlight that a lot of, Sybil already mentioned this, but a lot of the people that are involved in Solarize Sullivan are volunteers. A large portion are just nonprofit community organizations doing what they feel is the right thing. And so, some of the questions I think you should be asking us or calling in and asking us is, how's this program funded? Because there is some funding available, and Sybil can talk more about that. So, Sybil, what is Renewable New York?
Thanks for that great question, Larry. Renewable New York is a program of Catskill Mountain Keeper that's funded by Nyserda, the Energy Research and Development Agency that I mentioned earlier, and they're funded to help New York go renewable. The Solarize campaign is not unique to Sullivan County. It's actually being run by Renewable New York in 15 counties across New York State, but in fact, a campaign that's being run in most of the counties in New York State. So other organizations are involved, and it's also a national model. It's a campaign, it sometimes comes under different names, but it's a campaign that's actually being implemented nationwide because it works so well to engage community members who are invested in their communities and in solar energy and who have experience. Some of the people in our steering committee, for example, like Josh Greer, who I was in the studio with about a month ago, are just people that have gone solar themselves and they want to see it happen around them, and then some people are experts like you, or we had one social impact consultant, Tanya Cotton, who wrote in the River Reporter she's one of the early adopters who went solar herself. And so people who have seen how it works, who went through the consumer process, who know the questions to ask as consumers themselves. And then we have technical expertise as well. So this is the model. This is a community-based solarization model that is being run by Renewable New York across New York State, and something that you can find in many, many other states across the country.
Thanks, Sybil.
Yeah, sure. I'll also say, we have colleagues in the southern tier in Binghamton. We have colleagues with Cornell Cooperative Extension in Tompkins County. We have colleagues just to the south and the east of us in Ulster County, Orange County, through Sustainable Hudson Valley. So I expect that some folks around here have seen other Solarize campaigns happen, because there were Solarize campaigns last year in Beacon, in Poughkeepsie, in Kingston, and some of those campaigns are still running, in fact.
Right. And we've just been building on those successes of past Solarize campaigns.
Exactly. This is a model that works.
Yeah. So there's a couple other things here that are really wonderful attributes, because they give people a sense of accountability. They give people a sense of responsibility and connectivity to what's going on. And often we always call somebody in. I don't know anything about that. It just confuses me, so I'll call you in. We don't have to do that. Maybe, Larry, you could talk a little bit about a couple of the things that have also been in this discourse for quite a long time, and that there is something that people have been doing and they can even do more of, and that's has to do with the energy efficiency part of it, which is a nice partner with this program. And for many of you out there who have done that and haven't moved on to Solarize Sullivan's benefits and program opportunities, this is a natural segue. So, can we hear from you about that, Larry?
Definitely. So one of the things that Sybil mentioned was when you're signing up, you need to know what your electric bill is. And it might sound like a task that you might be like, well, what do I have to figure out? How many kilowatt hours have I used this year? But the purpose of that is you do not want to oversize your system. If you oversize the system, it's in effect giving electric away to the power company. And so you don't want to oversize your system. And secondly, you want to really embrace energy efficiency right up front. The cheapest energy to produce is the energy that was saved and the energy that you didn't use. And examples of that would be getting a free residential energy audit here in the state of New York. You can get an energy audit. They'll come in, they'll analyze and look at your home or your small business. And we haven't said that enough, that this is really useful for small businesses.
This is a bigger story, Larry, and I want to bring in a caller right now
Great.
because that's what we always do. Good evening, caller. You're on the line.
Good evening. My name is John, calling from over here on Skipperine Road. And I was wondering, is there a problem installing a solar array on a metal roof?
I'll take that question. Sure. There's several different ways of installing solar arrays and PV modules on your roof. And, I could ask you if it's a standing seam roof or if it's more of a flat steel roof. Do you know?
Well, it's standing seams, yes.
So that is one of the easiest systems to install because you really just clamp to the standing seam. It's a really straightforward process. And again, your solar, when you go to solarizesullivan.org and you click the Go Solar Now button, you will get a solar installer at your home. In the very, very near future, and they're going to look at your roof, they're going to figure out which way it's oriented, and they're going to make a note on how old your roof is. And that's something we haven't talked really about, but like if you have a old asphalt roof, there may be some cost that you need to consider. Like if your roof is 40 years old, you may want to redo.
I built this house in 1994.
Yeah, so you're going to be in great shape.
The metal on 10 years ago, I guess.
You done good.
Yeah, so you're going to be in great shape. A standing seam roof, as an installer, if I were to look at that roof, I'd be like, this is a slam dunk. We can do this one quick.
Mm-hmm. I do want to add, though.
Yes, because
Sorry, John.
while I was out one day, somebody called here, and then my daughter spoke to them, and they were interested in this in the solar array on this here house. Of course, when I built it, it's exactly east and west, the ends of the building. Mm-hmm. So it's, had passive solar in mind with the possibility of solar electric or something, whatever. But in any case, that caught their attention, I suppose. But then they call back and says they forget about it because they learned it had a metal roof.
No, that's just not the case. I will tell you that some large national chains stay away from certain types of roofs, but I believe the standing seam is, they still go after asphalt. They go after asphalt shingles and standing seam because they're straightforward and simple.
And I just wanted to add there, John, and for anyone listening, that our installers also provide other options than just your roof. They can provide...
Oh, yeah, I got room.
Yeah, they could put an array, a ground mount, also a higher array called a pole mount. So if you or anyone else has a concern about their roof, or maybe there's shade on your roof but not on your property, or there are other reasons that a homeowner might want to use their property, their land, rather than their rooftop, those options absolutely exist through our program. And this is not the first time I've heard of someone saying, oh, somebody told me that I'm not eligible. Well, things have changed, and also different companies might have different criteria. Check it out anyway. Talk to our installers before you make a decision that you're not eligible. If it's something you want to do,
I'm not concerned
it's worth
about
the time.
being eligible. I was just curious about this company who lost interest when they learned I had a metal roof.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all it was. Yeah.
I don't know what they
I got
were.
a pretty fair idea what the future's going to go with, what I'm going with and all. But I was just curious about that, and thank you for clearing it up for me, folks. Appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks for teaching all of us about how important this question is and what the options are. Thank you for calling, sir.
Alrighty. Thanks again.
Let's follow up this just a wee bit. How much of a factor is color? A lot of these metal roofs, they're really good for a long time.
Yes.
But often people want to, or in this case, they could have another reason why they want to repaint it, resurface it. There are some issues here, are there not, Larry?
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're leading me
I'm
into,
talking
but
about the reflective.
yeah. So right before we got that call, we were talking about energy efficiency.
Yep.
And one of the first things you can do around energy efficiency is, reduce your electrical load before you install the PV array. Being that this Solarize campaign is fairly short, 6 weeks or less to go, you definitely want to act equally in both arenas. But by where you led me, Dick, by just painting your wife, taking a dark color, a black, a dark green, it looks real nice and woodsy, but it's really attracting a lot of heat, and it's making your heating and air conditioning system work harder. And you're using more utilities to overcome them, be it natural gas, propane, or electric. But by painting it white or a lighter color, you're going to reduce your heating and cooling loads. The one thing that you can get out of having a solar array on your roof is it will extend the life of your roof because it's actually protecting your roof. And so I would be curious, Dick, what some of the concerns or things you might have heard about changing the color of the roof, other than, was it structural or was it?
No, it was just that also that there's a buildup of heat underneath.
Right.
Is it as the darker colors absorb it, and that
Yep.
also knocks down the efficiency in the panel itself.
Yes. Yeah.
that-
And so standoff, you're really referring to the distance that the PV modules stand off of the roof. And so just understanding that you have a small loss of performance of a PV module, the tighter it is on your roof, if it's flat against your roof, something that has maybe a 4 or 6 inch separation from your roof is going to perform much better than a PV module that's tight. The day of the year that the PV module creates or produces the most electric is the coldest day of the year. That day that it's -5 and bluebird sky is the day that it makes its most electric. And the day in the middle of summer when it's 95 degrees out is the day that it probably makes the least amount of sun because it's really hot.
That really nails that issue as more substantial than I had heard it ever before. Beautifully rendered. Okay, so there's so many things you can do. Personal agency now matters. You can really get involved. You can really get engaged. You can love your home, and your home shows you that love 24 hours a day, 365, if you go along with all these different combinations that are coming up in the Solarization Sullivan campaign here. So we have about 15 minutes or so. We could have another call or another couple calls if you like. It may be a good time just to remind people of the different events, because we said it's only about 6 weeks to go. And also can you remind folks, if they get in, say, on the last week, and they can't get we don't want to say you can't get everything done. If you send in your application in the last week, that's still good. You're in the program, right?
You just need to fill out that form on our website
That's the ticket.
by October 31st.
Okay.
That's it.
Application's a ticket, and you're in, folks.
That's it. Application's the ticket. It's non-committal, but it does get you in the campaign, and it does get you the discount, solarizesullivan.org. And yes, we have 4 events coming up. This Wednesday night, the event that Larry just described with that great solar tour, kid-friendly. I might even bring my own. Joel, if you're listening. That's 5 p.m. at SUNY Sullivan, Wednesday, September 14th. And then on Saturday, September 24th at 1 p.m. at the Town of Highland Town Hall in Eldred, 4 Proctor Road. We're going to have the workshop there. Our installers are at all of these workshops, so any kind of question you have, like John from Stump Pond Road just had, you can come up and ask our installers at these workshops. I'm very excited that on October 6th at 4:30 p.m. we're going to have a workshop at the Monticello Ted Strobel Center, because I think it's really important that we get into our large population areas and that the people of Monticello can come out and talk to us. And then Saturday, October 15th at Cornell Cooperative Extension at 11 a.m. As I said, we may yet add another workshop or two. We'll see what happens over time. I did want to mention, since we were talking about home energy efficiency, that it's a free process for most New Yorkers, New York homeowners, to get a home energy audit. And if you want more information about that, you can go to RUPCO's website, saveenergyhudsonvalley.org, saveenergyhudsonvalley.org. And again, if you have questions about Solarize Sullivan, about home energy efficiency, about when our events are, and you're not online, you can call Catskill Mountain Keeper's office, 845-439-1230, 439-1230. That's the way to go.
Perhaps we should also urge people to take a look at the recent introduction of discussions about taxes on solar systems. Just to pay attention to it, folks. There's a lot of opportunity here for you to go to your town council, your town council meeting, and the planning board, where those decisions are being made about whether there will be sales taxes on the solar systems or not. There is an option there. They can be taxed or they can not be taxed, and that decision will be made and is being made currently by different towns and in different directions. And all of this is also grist for the mill. This is such an exciting area. Solarize Sullivan is just the next step. There will be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's going to go on and on. We are going to build a better future for our future generations, and this is part and parcel of it. So even now, pay more attention to your newspapers. They're really beginning to get it. The columns are longer. They're more ample. They're more focused. Larry?
Yeah. So I'm just going to build on something you just said. You know, we live in an era where we have this aging grid system, and we really do want to move away from, you know, one power plant powering an entire region or several power plants powering that region. We want to move to a more distributed power generating system. In Germany, almost every home has PV modules on the roof. And they're actually fairly small arrays because they're very energy efficient over there. But something that many of your listeners may or may not understand, sometimes I think we're preaching to the choir here in JFF, but power loss and distribution. You know, a coal burning power plant might go through, 50 rail cars a day, 100 rail cars a day. But as soon as that electric moves a couple hundred miles, you have to burn 300 rail cars of coal to just, you lose 200 rail cars of coal just to push the electric to get the end result of that last 100 rail cars. And so you're polluting the environment. You're sustaining the mountaintop removal, the what I call extractive fossil fuel industry. And when you embrace solar energy, especially in a distributed way where your neighbors and community members have solar energy on their homes and properties, you're not losing hardly any of your electric in distribution, and versus the fossil fuel industry where you have transportation costs, you have extractive type industries, and it's breaking the system down. What's one of the greatest things from solar energy? The sun is free. The wind is free. The Earth's temperature is free. If I'm not I don't teach financial classes as far as economics and things, but why wouldn't I want something that's free? Solar is free. Makes sense to me.
That word's politically correct, economically correct. It's morally right. My golly, this is an exciting part of the world to be involved in, and I hope that there are people there who are listening with us tonight and taking a look at the kids and saying, check out the school, make sure that that they're moving into this area more quickly, not just in general environmental studies, but let's talk about what to do about it. Everybody talks about the weather, but no one's doing anything about it, they say. At least they used to say that when I was a kid. But now we can do something about it. And in fact, we have pessimized it, and now we got to turn it around, and perhaps we can. Let's see if we can. And what we're talking about here is one of these really wonderfully articulated programs. We don't always get to say this, but we have one. We have lots of them, and we have people here tonight who you can see are amiable, they're congenial, they're authentically helpful people. This is in the this is in the retail world, folks. This is the new market economy, and you can see the kind of attributes that can be, perhaps they become infectious and help us in all of our commercial dealings be more straightforward and more transparent and things like that. But it's certainly here in this field. Some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet are in the renewable energy field. You've got a couple of them here with you tonight. Give us a call if you like at 845-482-4141.
So again, if you just go to www.solarizesullivan.org, you can check us out. But before you do a ton of research, my advice is just go ahead and click that Go Solar button and just start having a conversation about your property at your home, specific to your location, specific to your roof, specific to your orientation. I'm really passionate about solar energy because it just makes sense to me. At SUNY Sullivan, I teach some green building programs. I teach a green building AAS degree. It's a 2-year program. And the students coming out of there have learned about renewable energy, all forms of renewable energy. And the college gives me the freedom to actually teach our students to be like almost solar installers. And so, we're learning about site assessment. And so these students are going to be at Solarize Sullivan at the workshop tomorrow, at one Wednesday. And they're going to have the opportunity to, just ask you questions while you ask them questions. And in our solar courses that we teach at SUNY Sullivan, that I teach at SUNY Sullivan, and they learn about components, they learn about installation procedures, they learn about operation and maintenance. And we're building the green workforce for tomorrow. I have young children. I'm really worried about the future generation. What's this road going to be like? And so I think of Dick as a mentor to me because he's out there. They're fighting the good fight. Political justice and social justice, and I'm concerned about future generations, and that's one reason I'm so happy to be here at WJFF tonight. I'm so happy to be sitting next to Sybil, be part of the Solarize campaign, because we, like Dick said, we're just trying to make a difference and move in a direction that we feel is best.
Everybody talks about jobs, but they're not doing much about that in many cases. Here are jobs. These jobs cannot be, they can't be exported. They have to be here. We have to take care of these things. This is part of this, once again, being responsible, being the adults we anticipated we would be, but a lot of that opportunity and responsibility has been, frankly, designed out of our menu of life. Let's get it back, and we'll save money. We'll save our health. We'll save the county budgets and everything else. I mean, the terrible situations. Everybody is broke, and we're way behind in repairing all kinds of things that have to be repaired. This is the way to open up our society and teach new relationships and the possibility for making a marvelous array of opportunities, because we're not all the same, and we celebrate our differentness. But let's make all of these things possible for everybody. And here in Solarize Sullivan, you get a real thorough effort to make this happen, and it's a very, very special opportunity for us. And I'm so grateful to these people for bringing it to us tonight. We would invite one more call if you'd like. We have about 3 minutes left in the program tonight. So back to you two.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of personalizing it and making it a nuanced process, people do ask us at the farmers markets, sometimes at the workshops, can you just tell me what this is going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
And we are absolutely committed to providing a transparent pricing process. But if you call me and even if you give me the dimensions of your home, I personally just cannot tell you what it's going to cost you. You have to have a solar installer give you an assessment in order to figure out how much this is going to cost in your home. Somebody asked me, why is that? I just want to know what it costs. And I said, well, it's kind of like, and this is not the most technical example, but it's kind of like if you had a weird sound in your car and you told the mechanic, hey, my car is going rah, rah, rah. How much is it going to cost to fix? But you don't let the mechanic look under the hood, or drive your car. The mechanic would never, any responsible mechanic would never be able to tell you what it costs.
No, he'd probably talk about marriage counseling.
Right. So it is a process. You do have to go through the process to see how it's going to work. And this is also why Solarize Sullivan exists, because it is new for a lot of people. It's the wave of the future. It's a growing it's a growing technology. It's becoming much more familiar, but just like home buying itself, it's just not a it's not a quick fix. It's a telephone call, not an email. You actually really have to talk to people. You really have to look through the numbers. You really have to consult your accountant, look at your electricity bill, do the comparisons you need to do to make sure that this is working the way you want it to. And we are trying so hard to provide that for you as a consumer, but every case, every house, every property is different. So that's why you need to do this homework and go through it. And we're here to go through it with you. That's why it's set up this way.
Yeah, so solarizesullivan.org.
That's it. Go Solar for Less is the big green button on the home page. And then once you go through the home page, there's a yellow button that just says Go Solar. You can chat with us on Facebook if you want to do it that way. Call the Catskill Mountain Keeper office. We have until October 31st to get on the solar bandwagon here in Sullivan County and get access to that great Solarize discount that our 2 installers are providing. They also, by the way, have great warranties, which we didn't talk about earlier, and I just wanted to throw that into the mix because that was also something they were vetted on and chosen for.
Right. And so the next opportunity to actually talk to us in person is the SUNY Sullivan Tour and Workshop this coming Wednesday, the 14th. At 5 o'clock is the tour, and at 6 o'clock is the workshop. So come out, talk with me, talk with Sybil, talk with our green building students that are becoming green professionals. And we'd love to just discuss your project with you.
Yeah, and the technology is always, always getting better, and yet not more expensive. I mean, you now don't. There are inverters, for instance, that allow you to use some of your power.
Yeah,
you don't have to close down entirely. SBAs, and there are so many things out there, and it's not confusing at all. What you can see is the precision that all of this stuff is now capable of being presented to you in. I've looked at many of the materials of Solarize Sullivan. That is a special gift. It's a special art and craft to get these programs so that you can become comfortable, so you can really like what you want to like. You can really feel, yeah, this is for me. My golly, I just got to step up and make some phone calls and listen carefully and ask a couple of questions and then go back and look at the family and say, yeah, isn't this, it's time. And of course it is time. So we thank you for listening to us tonight. We thank you for that marvelous call. That was a great call. Clarified a whole bunch of things that I'm sure are in the back of lots of people's minds. So Solarize Sullivan, everybody, and there's 4 events coming up. Let's just do the very, very quickly now. Let's do the websites in case anybody did not jot them down or got the first 2 and didn't get the last couple, because there's a whole bunch of them.
So solarizesullivan.org is our website. You can find us on Facebook also at Solarize Sullivan. You can email us at solarizesullivan@gmail.com. You can call the Catskill Mountain Keeper office at 845-439-1230. If you're interested in a home energy audit, you can also go to saveenergyhudsonvalley.org, and that's SAVE Energy HudsonValley.org. So 2 E's in the middle of that URL.
Okay. Thanks, Larry, and thanks, Sybil, for coming in tonight. That's it for WJFF Connections. Please stay tuned, won't you, for Making Waves.